afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our live session. Today we are going to discuss about migration option for Canada. Okay, one of our friend, a Canadian migration agent from Toronto, was supposed to join us, but due to some unfortunate situation, she had extended her apology for not able to join us, and that has given me an opportunity to try to explore options for Canadian migration possibilities for a lot of clients because everyone is under impression that getting a Canadian PR visa, work visa, or residency visa is much easier compared to any other part of the world at the moment. Today, we are trying to discuss about express entry visa option for Canada. But before that, we look into all other aspects of the Canadian migration system. How does the point work? Okay, where can you get more points? What you can do to enhance your productivity, your point ability to be able to get an invitation either from a province or from a federal. So it's all about Canada today. Feel free to send an email or call our team for any help as needed. So we'll start with the Migration Canada possibility now. So when it comes to the migration, okay, Canada has announced that they are going to give more than 1.2 million visas by 2021-22. Okay, that makes Canada a very attractive option. But in saying so, there are different things what everyone has to look into when they think about migration option for Canada. It's not as easy what it looks like. Okay, yes, they want to give extended volume for Canada, but that's not going to happen as if something is like going to come out and you are going to get it. That's not going to happen. So whenever you're planning for a migration option for Canada, you have to make sure that first you are eligible, you got the basic points to get into the draw, and then secondly, okay, you can explore different options for Canada migration options. So let's start with that one. Okay, so today we are going to talk about Federal Skilled Worker Program, which is also called as Express Entry. So in this program, okay, depending on your skilled work experience, your language ability, your education, okay, you get points across different sections. To able to go into the pool for this express entry, you need to score minimum 67 points. At this moment, this is 67 points. If you can get 67 points, then you are into the pool to able to apply for the federal entry. Okay, just give me 1 second. I think there is some problem with our mic at the moment. We'll just try to adjust that on the volume. Give us one.
Yeah, I hope it's okay now. Could you double check with Aisha? Yeah, yeah. Sorry for all these technical glitches. I hope things are going okay now. Okay. Sorry, very weird, very odd. It's not coming. Yeah. Okay. So let's start with Federal Skilled Worker Program, which is Express Entry. So as I was telling you, this program has a minimum requirement for your work experience, your language ability, your education. Okay, you have to meet all these minimum requirement criteria to eligible to go into the pool to able to apply for the express entry. At this moment, the cutoff point is 67 points. So please try to understand there are two different sets of points where Canadian Migration Department will assess you. The first one is whether you got this selected point, okay, which has to be 67 points to able to apply to go into the entry pool, and then the CRS point kicks in. So first thing is whether you can score 67 points or not. So depending on your age, education, work experience, okay, whether you got a valid job offer later within Canada or not, okay, whether you got a English language ability or a French as a second language ability, whether you are scoring on the adaptability matrix or not. Okay, there are 100 points being allocated among these 6 factors. You have to get a 67 points out of this 100-point grid to able to go into the draw, able to go into the pool of express entry. So how does this points works? So there are 6 selection factors. So first one is, let's say, language skill, which will give you maximum 28 points. Then comes the education, that will give you 25 points. Then comes to your work experience, either onshore or offshore, that can give you 15 points. Then about the age, you'll get 12 points. Then your employment within Canada, whether you got a job offer letter or whether you got a, LMT or whatever your arrangement for job within Canada, will give you maximum 10 points. And then there's the adaptability of maximum 10 points. We will try to explain that later on. So these are the 6 points, okay, which makes altogether 100 points, and you need to score minimum 67 points to able to go into the pool to apply for the express entry. Now, if you look into the language, English 7 and above is preferred. So once you get that one, okay, the first official language English, you get 24 points. And then if you got the second official language, you can score 4 points there also. So CLB means Canadian Language Benchmark. Level 9 and above in speaking, listening, reading, and writing, you get 6 across all of those factors, you can get 24 points. If you get 5 across all that factor, then you can get 20 points. So in that way, in your first official language, there's a maximum 24 points which you can make, and then 4 points as your second language. Then let's say go into the overseas education. This is one of the most important criteria to make points. What happens is, if you have studied in Canberra, that's a different story. But if you got an offshore degree, you got a degree from India, Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Philippines, okay, or any other part outside Canada, then your degree has to be assessed by ECA. Okay, so when your degree is getting assessed by ECA, Education Credential Assessment, there it's not necessary that a bachelor or a master level program, what you have done back in your country, will meet the similar standard in Canada. So there are different criteria of assessment. So you need to get your degree assessed. Maximum point for your education is 25 points. Then goes to your work experience. Okay, uh, depend on which industry you're working into, what occupation you're working into. Okay, your job get categorized in front of that NOC means National Occupation Classification Code. So in Canada, every occupation, okay, got an NOC code, National Occupation Classification Code, and according to that code, okay, you get assessed for your work experience, and you get points for that one. So let's say if you got 1 year, you get 9 points. You got 2 to 3 years, you get 11 points. Like that, you got 6 and more years, you get 15 points. So it's very important to understand a proper job code, NOC code, National Occupation Classification Code. Okay, uh, and then there is a full-time work experience, which is 30 hours or more, or there's a part-time, which is between 15 hours to 24 hours. Okay, then comes the age. Now a lot of people have asked, what is the an ideal age to able to apply for Canadian migration. So there is no such thing which can categorize an ideal age, but yes, the preferred age group is between 18 to 35 points, 18 to 35 years of age, because in the age sector you get maximum 12 points. So if you are under 18, then God bless you, you are underaged. But if you go into the age bracket of 18 to 35, then you can have 12 points. And from there onwards, as your age goes up, the point goes down. So if you go 36, the point go 11, you go 37, point goes 10, and so on. So then about the employment in Canada. Okay, in the employment in Canada, there are 4 different situations, like how exactly, you go into the LMI or you go into the Canadian workforce and things like that. Depending on that one, there are maximum 10 points. So on basis of these 6 selection factors of age, language, adaptability, and your job and work experience, okay, total they are made up of 100 points to go into the express entry pool. you need to make up 67 points. If you got 67 points, then you can apply for the Canada Migration Federal Entry Program. If there's no 67 points, then what to do? Then work on your English, work on your work experience. I won't able to say that work on your degree because that's already been achieved, and work on, like, about the possibility of getting work within Canada. 67 points is the entry at the moment. Now, few minutes before, I was talking to you about NOC, National Occupation Code. Everything got a NOC. Yeah, we'll come to that one, guys. We'll come to the question also. Yes, there is a express entry, there is a provincial nomination entry, PNP. So we'll come to that one later on. So NOC list. Okay. So depending on your skill type, like whether you have worked as a restaurant manager, whether you work as a doctor, whether you work as a chef, whether you work as a butcher, truck driver. So depending on your skill level, depending on, like, what job you're working into, okay, the national occupation list has been divided into five different skill level. Skill level 0, A, B, C, D. 0, A, B, C, D. So the example is, like, let's say you're working as a restaurant manager, okay, or a mining manager. So that goes under skill level 0, management jobs. Let's say you're working into a professional industry. That means you're a doctor, dentist, architect. That goes into a skill level A. Let's say you're working a technical job, a skilled tradesman job, something as a chef, plumber, electrician, stonemason, carpenter. That goes into skill level B. Okay, let's say you are working into, like, in the intermediate job category, okay, which can be after high school or something as a job specific training, then that one goes into a skill category C. Okay, then if you are working into a very labor incentive job, like a fruit picker, cleaning staff, oil field worker, and things like that, it goes into a skill level D. Okay, so it's very important to understand that whatever you're working into, whatever field you're working into, what skill level your job or your occupation can be categorized into: 0, A, B, C, D. So when you look into express entry, when it goes into the express entry, okay, your job has to be into a skill level 0, A or B. That means it has to be under the management level, or it has to be under a professional level, or it has to be into a technical or trades occupation. So express entry into 0, A and B. It's very important to understand. Okay. Then there, of course, there is different migration program from in Canada. For example, Atlantic Migration Pilot Program. In that one, it can be under category 0, A, B, or C. Okay. Now, what will happen to the skill level, which is job incentive, which is labor incentive, like a fruit picker, cleaning staff, oil field worker? Okay, so I won't say that, oh, they cannot go to Canada at all, or they will not get any nomination into your programs. Yes, they can go into the provincial nominee schemes. Okay, they can go into some Atlantic pilot program. Okay, or, like, they can work there for up to 2 years to be eligible for some other leading program. So you need to understand that if you're into C and D, then you go into the different program. Okay, and then able to go into the express entry, it has to be into skill level 0, A and B. So skill level 0 is management job, skill level A is a professional like a doctor, dentist, skill level B is about technical jobs or trade jobs, chefs, plumber, electrician, carpenter, stonemason, things like that. Okay, now this is an example of NOC list. How does the NOC list look like? How is the NOC code? So for example, let's say an architect, okay, architecture science manager, he wants to go to Canada. So what is his NOC code? Is 211. What occupation is under? 0. Okay, let's say somebody manager into healthcare. What is the NOC code? 311. What skill level? Skill level 0. So according to, like, table given here, what you can see, every occupation got a NOC code. Okay, and every occupation got a skill level type also. So if your skill is in skill level 0, A or B, you are eligible for the express entry. If it's not, then you have to explore different options. There are options, you have to explore those options. Okay. Now, once you scored 67 points, then you are eligible to go into the pool of express entry. Then what happened after that? After that, depending on the different system kicks in. which is called as a comprehensive ranking system, CRS score. Comprehensive ranking system, CRS score. Now the CRS system, okay, it assesses you on your skill, education, language ability, work experience, and other factors which will come into the, like, later into this webinar. So depending on your educational background, depending on your work experience, depending on your English language ability, okay, your onshore and offshore work experience, depending whether you are single or whether you are married, depending on what language and experience your spouse or partner is having, okay, you get allocated points, and all together, okay, it goes into the CRS system point, and then you get chosen from there. Okay, a few days back, Canada has offered about 600 odd nomination into express entry at 463 points. So the CRS point come from there. Okay, there are four different categories. There are four different compartments. There are four different criteria in the comprehensive ranking system. So the first one is core or human capital factor, depending on you, what exactly you are. Second, B category B is spouse or common law partner factor. Depend whether you're spouse, de facto, or legally married partner. Okay, what experience, language ability they got it. Then about the skill transferability factor, which can give you maximum 100 points. Then of course there's additional points for nomination, your work history, your relatives in Canada, and things like that. So that goes into the part D. So A, B, C, D. So first one is your individual capability, then your spouse capability, your skill transferability, and then your additional points. So as per these 4 points, okay, there are maximum 1200 points, out of which you at this moment, if you see, you have to go about 463 and above. Yes, it might look very, like, achievable, but you need to work it out. Okay, how does that work? Now let's go into that individual core or human capital factor, part A, into comprehensive ranking system, which is everything depending on you what exactly it is. So this is about age, level of education, official language proficiency, and Canadian work experience. Then if you're with spouse, okay, the point get little bit less, about 10 points less compared to someone who is without spouse. Okay, because somehow each and every country thinks that if you are without partner you might be more productive. I'm just kidding. Okay, don't go on to that one too seriously. So if you are married and if your spouse is qualified and had some work experience, that all will be counted towards later on, so that can, like, nullify the difference of 10 points. Then the point B comes to spouse or common law partner I was talking about. So your spouse level of education, preferably if it's a bachelor or master, you get 10 points. Okay, English language proficiency can give up to 20 points. If your spouse does have a Canadian work experience, then you get extra 10 points. Okay, so maximum 500 points you can get from part A plus part B. So part A is core or human capital points, then your spouse or common law partner factor program points comes to maximum 500 points. Okay, then part C goes to skill transferability factor, which is maximum 100 points. I will explain each and everything later on in detail. This is to give you an overview idea. Okay, that if you got a very strong official language proficiency, let's say you got English 8 each or 9 each, okay, along with a post-secondary degree, then you get 50 points. If you got a Canadian work experience and a post-secondary degree, you get 50 points. So maximum 100 point is there, which you can achieve under part C, skill transferability factor. Okay, then your work experience, okay, your foreign work experience, okay, with good English can give you 50 points, or your Canadian work experience with foreign work experience in the same related field will give extra 50 points. Certificates of qualification, which normally goes for the trade occupation like a carpenter, plumber, electrician, stonemason. Okay, if they got a good strong official language proficiency as well as the qualification, they can earn maximum 50 points. Okay, so now again comes to same thing. Part A, which is core plus human capital, plus part B, which is a spouse or common law partner, plus the transferability factor. Okay, altogether you can make maximum 600 points. Okay, then comes the last point, which was talking about additional points. So what can be the additional point? For example, you got brother or sister living in Canada, okay, who are citizen or permanent resident there. If they are to the student visa or some other temporary visa, okay, or refugee visa, then you don't get points. So if you got brother or sister living in Canada, you can have maximum 15 points. You know the French language. Okay, you got a French language certification. Okay, French language skills. You get 30 points. Okay, post-secondary education in Canada, extra 30 points. You got arranged employment, job offer letter, LMI or things like that, up to 200 points extra. Then you got PNP, okay, provincial nomination, you get 600 points extra. So what happened is core human capital part A plus your spouse or common law partner factor part B plus your transferability skill factor part C plus your additional points depending on your relatives, your second language, your post studies in post secondary education in Canada, or your employment or your PNP nomination. Altogether, okay, it's a grand total of 1200 points, maximum 1200 points, what you can aim for. So now let's go into each and every factor, like, one by one. So initially we looked into the, like, grading system where you have to get 67 points to go into the draw, and then the comprehensive ranking system kicks in. Okay, where at this moment you should be above 463. I'm not giving you any figure to you at the moment, but few days back the nominations were given at 463 points. So let's go into the age factor here again. Okay, in the previous slide, we saw to achieve the 67 points, ideally you should be between the age group of 18 to 35. Now, when you go into the express entry pool, you can see very clearly where do you stand depending on your age. Let's say you have completed your bachelor degree and you are between 20 to 29 years of age. Perfectly fine. Okay, you'll get 100 points if you're with spouse, you'll get 110 points if you're without spouse. Okay, so ideal age for this CRS system will be between 20 to 30 years of age, because you can get, like, anywhere between 95 to 110 points depending whether you're married or whether you're single. And again, same thing, as the goes up, points goes down. Okay, as the goes up, productivity goes down. Okay, but as the age goes up, you might able to get more points with your work experience and other things. We'll come on to that one. So as long as you are reaching about 410, 420, 430, don't lose hope. Okay, there is always something which can be done. Okay, in those cases, do contact our offices in India, Nepal, Pakistan, and Australia. Okay, visit our website. I'm surely, like, with help of our Canadian migration partners, okay, we can help you. So now let's go into the second important thing about the CRS system, about your education. Okay, so ideally you should having a bachelor or master's degree. Okay, if you are having a offshore, a degree from outside Canadian institution, that you are, let's say you have not studied in Canada, you have done your degree from Nepal, then that has to be assessed from the it has to be called as the ECA process, educational credential assessment process. Now, very good example here, guys. If you look into the chart here on your right, okay, it says that bachelor degree or a 3 year or more year program at university or college level will give you 112 points with spouse or 120 points without spouse. And then below that one, it says 2 or more certificate, diploma or degree. One must be a program of 3 or more. So why I want to come here is, okay, for example, let's say you have done a bachelor degree from India, which is for 4 years. Okay, and when you got a ECA assessment done from there, okay, there is possibility. I'm not generalizing. I'm not saying it happens in every each and every case, but there's possibility that they will assess that bachelor degree as 3 year degree plus 1 year, one more certificate degree. So basically, when you go through the ECA process, you have done 4 year degree in India, but as for the Canadian standard, it's a 3 year degree plus 1 year, one more degree, or your last year 4 year. So that means you can get 119 points instead of 112 points. Okay, and if you're single, it goes to 128 points instead of 120 points. So it's very important to understand, okay, that your education assessment, how the ECA is going to be done for your education. Don't waste your time. You have to get the ECA done for any degree which has been done outside Canada. If there is no ECA done, don't worry about that one. Don't waste your time. Again, contact our offices in India, Pakistan, Nepal, and Australia, or send an email to info@aussieeducation.com.au, and our officers will be more than happy to assist you with the full process. Now let's go down to English. Okay, on this slide, purposely I have done some mistake, because I want to make sure when you go into the English language proficiency, people can able to look into the slide and say that, hey, that is wrong. That means you're on the right track of getting to English language. Okay. So if you go into the this English chart, you see all this less than CLB4, less than CLB5, less than CLB7. So what is CLB? CLB is Canadian Language Benchmark. Okay. And the magic number is 7778. So if you look into that one, if you're with a partner, you can get maximum 32 points for a language. Okay. And if you're single, you can get 34 points. And then if you do have a secondary language, okay, let's say French language, okay, with partner you can get 6 points, without partner also you can get 6 points. Okay. Accordingly, you can get the points for your primary language and secondary language. Few people have asked in the past why this language thing differ with partner or without partner, because when you got the partner there is additional point for your partner also later on. That's why the preference has been given to the single. Okay. And it goes for the reading, writing, speaking and listening, all four criteria. Okay. Now when you go for the Canadian work experience, okay, there is a point for the Canadian work experience, and then there is a point for offshore work experience also. And whenever you are talking about the work experience has to be verifiable. Okay, you cannot just give a pay slip and a work experience later and saying that I have worked for 10 years. That will not work. You have to, if you are getting a salary, okay, you have to give a bank statement that your salary is going into your bank. Okay, you have to give the tax documents, you have to give a super or provident fund documents, you have to give work experience letter, a pay slip, maybe a stat deck from your work colleague. A lot of people will say that, hey, I'm from India, Nepal, Pakistan or Bangladesh and I get paid in cash. It's a cash economy. Yes, there is no harm in getting paid in cash, but then we need a tax documentation. Even if you don't fall under the tax quota, you still have to lodge tax. So if you have not done that, start doing that one. Okay, otherwise it will be very hard to prove your work experience. Now if you got a Canadian work experience, let's say for 4 years, then you get 63 points. Okay, if you got a Canadian work experience for 2 years, okay, so 46 points. When you are with partner, without partner, okay, you get 53 points. So always there's a difference between with partner and without partner. Okay. Now let's go into the other issue about spouse work experience and spouse English language ability. So depending, well, how and where your spouse has worked, okay, then the level of education, you can get extra points, okay, starting from 2 points up to 10 points, okay, in your level of education for your spouse. Okay, and the same time, about your English, okay, you can get between 1 point to 5 points. Okay, so you need to look into that. Okay, your, let's say your spouse got bachelor or master degree, okay, where ECA has been done, so that can be for 8 or 9 points depending on the assessment outcome. Let's say your spouse got 7 in each, then you can get 3 points there. So accordingly, you can get, let's say, 8 points there, 3 points here, 11 points extra. So a qualified spouse, an experienced spouse having a good English will add value to your point system altogether. Okay, now let's say you got a spouse who is in Canada, who is working in Canada, that then you can get maximum 10 points there. Okay, so core or human capital part A plus your spouse, as I told you, can be of maximum 500 points altogether. Okay, and the more year of experience your spouse got in Canada, okay, the more the points will be. So from 1 year, from 5 points, it goes up to 5 year up to 10 points. Now there's something which is called as a skill transferable factor. Okay, or the education Canadian work experience. So now let's say you got a good English, okay, and then you got a university degree, okay, or 2 or more post-secondary degree. Then there's extra point there which is 25 points, okay. And then if you got a Canadian work experience and a post-secondary degree, then you can get between 13 points to 25 points. So you can have a 50 plus 50, 100 point maximum there. So depend into what group you're falling there. University degree with a good English can give up to 50 points. okay, a university credential of master level or degree, okay, with your licensing from your one of the province regarding a trade occupation or something like that can give you extra 50 points, okay, or university level credential degree at doctorate level, okay, from Canada, okay, on Canada work experience can give you 50 points. So maximum you can have 100 points under part C of CRS. Now let's go to the foreign work experience. So depending on the foreign work experience, depending on the type of documentation you can provide for your foreign work experience and how closely related to your NOC occupation code, you can get 30 to 25 points. Okay, depend with spouse, without spouse, again same thing. Okay, and then again you got a foreign work experience as well as you got Canadian work experience. Then again, like there will be different point system, different point what you can earn. So over here you can have extra 100 points altogether for. So part A is your core human capital, part B is your spouse points, and part C is your skill transferability. So altogether you can have 600 points pool where you can play up with all these things, which you have to look into. If you don't have it, look into increasing those points. Now let's go into the additional point. Where does somebody can get additional point? Because they need to reach 463 points and above. They want to enhance their possibility of getting into the express entry or being capable of any other nomination. So let's say you got brother or sister who is living in Canada, who is a citizen or permanent resident, 15 points. Okay, then you got a French skill language CLB like NLCC 7, NCLL 7, what they call as extra 50 points. Okay, you got better score than extra 30 points. You got post secondary education in Canada, okay, with credential of 1 or 2 years, 15 points. 3 years or more, you get 30 points. Then again, as I told you, NOC 0AB, arrange employment, 50 points, or then there's a LMI, 200 points, then there's a provincial or territory nomination, 600 points. So when you combine part A, B, C, and D of this CRS point system, which is your core human point system, your spouse system, your skill transferability factor, your additional points for your relatives, your second language, your post-study education in Canada, or your arrange employment in Canada or provincial tradition nomination, altogether is 1200 points. Okay, once you reach 463 points and above, okay, at this moment there's every possibility that you will get to the point where it's needed. Now, very simple fact is, what are the documents which are needed? Okay, document system is one of the easiest one for Canada, as long as you can just have everything arranged. So your passport or travel documents, your English test result, your ECA report for educational credential assessment report for your studies which has been performed offshore. Okay, if you have got a provincial nomination, then nomination, provincial nomination letter. Okay, written job offer letter or LMI letter or whatever job employment letter you have got from the employer within Canada, which will increase more points. So all these documents you have to be ready. You don't have to submit these documents at the time of your what you call your nomination process, but that will be required later on. Okay, and when you do get what you call nomination to apply for the permanent residency, okay, that good news comes in. Then you'll need a police clearance certificate, you need a medical exams, you need a proof of fund if required to settle in Canada. So it's very important to make sure that before you start this process, if you do have a criminal conviction, if you have some drug offenses, if you do have some sexual offenses, or any other things where you think that might be a possible negative point on your police clearance, your character clearance, okay, then resolve that one first before you go through the whole process. Imagine you got 500 odd points, you got selected for the express entry, and then you cannot clear the police certification, your character clearance, or you cannot do the medical exam, or you cannot clear the medical exam because you got some other medical issues. Then the whole process, whole efforts will go into the bin. So before you do that one, if there's something wrong, be honest. Let us know, let anyone else know who is processing your file for Canada. Okay, and be honest, be clear. You know what is needed, you have to do what is needed. So guys, this is all about Canada, okay, how the express entry works. And I think by now you all would have got a very clear idea as how the Canadian Express entry works, what are the points which is needed for the Canada, okay, how you can enhance your point in terms of your own English language ability, in terms of your spouse English language ability, in terms of getting some employment arranged in Canada. Okay, there are plenty of employees in Canada who is looking for the good employee. I do understand that Corona has hit the whole world. Okay, at this moment, the possibility of employment is low, but it's not negligible. Then, of course, you need to understand what NOC occupation code you fall under, whether skill level 0, A, B, C, D. Accordingly, you have to go for that nomination criteria, that nomination scheme. There is no use of submitting 10,000 different scheme entries. That's not going to make any difference. So work on your English language ability, work on your work experience, of course, your education qualification, your spouse education qualification, and then your employment within Canada, whatever you can. Okay, and for all these things, like you do need a help. I won't say that you cannot do it by yourself. There are a lot of smart people who can do by themselves, but whenever you are in doubt, don't take a risk of your career, don't take risk of your life to save few $1,000s. Get an expert advice. Okay, let's say our offices are far from your end, get to some other, like, local offices which can help you out. If in doubt, send an email to us. We are always here to help you. You can send an email to info@aussieeducation.com.au, or you can contact our offices, okay, in India, Nepal, Pakistan, Bangladesh. In Australia, our number is 0406 107 107. In India, our number is 9100 107 107. Okay, in Nepal, our number is 977, which is country code for Nepal, 9851 107 107. Accordingly, depend on which country you are in. For example, you are in India, you can also email to india@aussieeducation.com.au. If you're in Nepal, you can email to nepal@aussieeducation.com.au, or you can call our team in Nepal at 9851 107 107. In India, you can call on 9100 107 107. So Aussie Education team is here. We got three Canadian migration agents who are working with us, and we are more than happy to look into each and every profile. There is no profile which cannot be explored. There is no option which cannot be looked into. Okay, so it's all about your age, English language, your education, your skill, and then depending, like, where you can fit into. Okay, there are different possibilities about your work experience, arranging a work experience in Canada, getting a proper employer for you. All those things can be looked into. Be honest to yourself, start preparing for Canada. Yes, borders are closed at the moment, they will reopen again. So let's try for 2021. Things will not that be easy, but of course we can work on the file, we can work on the documentation now for the better future for Canada. If there's any doubt, call our team. Okay, our team is always here to help you. Thank you. Thanks a lot for joining us today, guys. Thank you. Thanks a lot for that.